the final information. So let me share my screen. Okay, so mainly modules 5, 6, 7, and I think it's a couple of things we didn't, I mean, the second test didn't cover. Text-related functions like left, right, mid, upper, can, cat, I'm sure those will be in the tests because it didn't come up last time. And module 5 is about, again, module 5 didn't appear last time, so sure, we're going to have that in terms of working with multiple worksheets. And then module 6 is sorting, filtering, subtotal, inserting slicer, and we have a little bit more in if, and. I don't think we're going to have a if or if and, which is kind of advanced, but we're going to have only if function for sure. And module 6, especially those if related, count if, sum if, average if, sure they'll be appeared, and pivot table, creating pivot table, that's one of the most popular Excel skills out there, and pivot charts. Slicer. Slicer is another kind of user interface like buttons, those text box that you can create in Excel. And HLOOKUP is same as a VLOOKUP, but again, this book really loves HLOOKUP, VLOOKUP stuff. So I'm sure we're going to have a VLOOKUP appeared again. So there's some sample stuff. So let's work on these sample questions. So I already have it here. So data file is employment. So let me go to employment right here. So this is the employment workbook. We have a list, lookup, R summary, those 3 sheets. So list worksheets, we have a list of employees.
Hi, good night. Just checking if you hit record.
Yes.
Yeah, you did? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's recording. Names and dates, those information related to, each employee. And we're going to use some of those properties of employees to create or calculate some of those benefits of employees, like life insurance, 401k, bonus, and other stuff. There's probably more columns that we need. So some columns may be blank because, I just used few those columns rather than, all the way 6 or 7 blank columns. So some columns will skip based on the directions. Okay. So here we go. Few things regarding the cell format, right? Starting with higher date, I believe. Yeah, higher date. We're gonna make it, because right now it's the general in terms of the date format. Number format. So we're gonna change it to short date. And there's another date somewhere. Birth date, right? So we're gonna make it short date as well. And salary, I believe, annual salary, we're going to make it accounting format with no decimal places. I believe. So we start with those cell format. Then we're going to insert Excel table. Okay, so one of the things appear in the module 5 and 6 is inserting table right here, right? And insert name ranges. The book use this name range or range name kind of interchangeably. A little bit confusing, but anyway. So range name is when you create a range name, you're going to highlight certain area. For example, I want to name this area only, okay, this particular area as first employee. So what you're going to do is highlight this area because that's what you wanted. Then you go to name box here, right here. Then you're going to type, I said first employee, right? Employee. So once you type it in, then you press enter. The reason I have it without space between, because the range name must be one word, okay? No blank between, characters. So anyway, just type the name you wanted, then you press enter. Now, let's say you want to refer to that area, for example, rather than highlighting or you just refer as A2 to M2, you can always go to name box and select first name, first employee, then there you go. That's your area, you just named it as a first name, first employee, right? So that's the idea of creating name range or name range names. So that's one thing. So usually we use it quick and smaller area, but when you create table, Excel table, not the table we're talking about, two-dimensional. We're talking about Excel table. Excel is already table, but why you're repeating table? Because we want to make this entire area very specific, okay? Entire Excel very specific. So we're going to create an Excel table by using here. Insert table. Then once you click table, then entire area highlighted. Okay. Let me make sure this is already, okay, it doesn't have it, so that's good. So when you insert table, you're going to click table, then entire area highlighted, then you click OK. Now as you see this highlighted at the same time, in table properties appear right here, right? Table property. So you can name this table as whatever you want it. In this example, what was the name we're going to give it? Master data. So we're going to name this table as master data. One word, and press enter. So let's say you go to name box. There's two names out there. One is first employee that I just created before, and the other is Excel table we just created. So this entire area is master data. Then why are we using Excel table? So that you can have some advantages, like as you can see right here, table design appear here, so that you can give you a summarize, or you can convert. Oh, that's something different. You can insert slicer, for example, kind of give you this user interface by using Excel table, and it'll give you a filter drop down so that you can filter them by whatever condition you want it. So there's some advantages by using Excel table. Okay, so that's the idea of using Excel table. So that's what here, number 4, we create Excel table name master data. Okay. Then it says remove the filter arrow, meaning that because as a default, it'll give you this filter drop down. So it's kind of, sometimes it's a little bit, confusing, or kind of you don't like it, then you can always remove it right here from table design, property, right here, filter button. You can put it on or take it off, just like that. You have other properties you can do, like a total row, so that you can have some calculations that you can do. Or banded row, that's another interface you can use. So first column, last column. So there's a few things that you can do with table design. But anyway, so that's the creating Excel table. So let's go to next. Then we're going to go to life insurance premium. Then we're going to create a if function based on the direction. Direction says you have to use the age. So age is the condition. Looking for 40 years old or 40 years old or equal to 40. Then you're going to get 3% of annual salary. Otherwise, and you'll get 0.1% of the salary. Okay. So let's do that. Greater than or equal to 40, right? Right there. So if you can use your keyboard to select it, mouse to select it, or you can type it in, but I'm going to type it in so that, you can see better. Because if I click the cell age, for example, it'll show as a, reference. Can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to just type it in as M2, okay, which is age. M2 is greater than 40, greater than or equals 40, right? Okay. Then you get 0.03. I think it's given, right? Yeah, X3. So direction says you need to use it here, but actually it's 0.2. So let's just use 0.2 because X9 include 0.2, X10 is 0.1. Okay, I think it's typo, but that's fine. So we're going to use annual salary times 0.2, which is located in X9, right? So annual salary is J2 times and X9. Right? Otherwise, meaning the age is less than 40, then you get X10 times J2, right? J2 times X10. Right? So, is this correct? Well, I think it's correct. I'm answering my question, but is it correct to rest of the column in terms of this syntax? Is it J2 times J9, X9, J comma J2 times X10? Is this correct to rest of the column? The hint is absolute cell reference. Anyone?
Does M2 need a quotation?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Not that one, but I'm talking about absolute cell reference.
Oh, okay.
Inserting dollar sign. So let's just take
absolute is the one where it's like #J #2, right?
dollar sign. Yeah.
$sign catch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's try that. Okay, here we go. So I'm just entering that. See that rest of the column? See what happens? What are all those zeros? What happened? Something is not right. Then let's take a look at the formula view. So what do you think about these formulas? Why is it happening? Why do I have all those zeros and all that? Again, is about absolute cell reference. Okay, so it is about x9 and x10, right? Look at that, n3. So x9 becomes x10, x10 becomes x11, and just keep moving it, right? As you go down all those cells. But x9 must be x9 all the time. Why? Because x9 is 0.2%, x10 is 0.1%, was not changed, right? So that's the problem. So that's what happens here, have all those zeros. It's not right. So you need to make sure this x9 has $sign, which is absolute cell reference, so that rest of the column has exactly same formula. Exactly same reference, which is x9, x10, must not change. See that all the way? x9, x10. Then you have the correct answers. All right? So that's very important, especially when you work with if and VLOOKUP. Just pay attention to those cells in the formula must not change, right? Some cells must be fixed, like percentages, whatever that based on the condition you have. So pay attention to that. And next 7 is HLOOKUP this time. Okay, that's HLOOKUP stands for horizontal lookup, not vertical lookup that we have seen before. So let's take a look at this one. I'm going to go to lookup worksheets. Here, HLOOKUP set up just like that. See that VLOOKUP stand vertically, HLOOKUP goes horizontally. That's the only difference. The syntax is exactly same, okay, as the VLOOKUP. So what it's saying is, depend on pay grade. Pay grade is 1, you get bonus amount like 3,500. Pay grade 2, you get 5,500. Pay grade 3, you got 7,500. So that's what you have. Okay. We're going to apply this to bonus, right? Bonus column right here. So we're going to do HLOOKUP. So here we go, HLOOKUP. Pay grade. So I'm going to click this time rather than type it in. So I'm going to click pay grade, comma. Then I'm going to highlight this area because I didn't name this area like other examples, but so that I can highlight this area, right? Then I go back to my formula, then insert row number this time because it's not VLOOKUP, it's HLOOKUP, so it's about rows. Which row that you're trying to retrieve, which is the second row this time. First row at the top, second row right below, so it will be number 2. Then false at the end, which is exact match. So again, I have error. What's the problem? What did I tell you about the other one? Absolute self-reference. So where should we put this absolute self-reference this time? I mean the dollar sign.
F5 and H6.
Exactly. So that's what you're going to make it. There you go. It's F5H6 must be fixed, right? So that you get correct answers. But the reason we have error first 2 is because pay grade of that particular employee is 0. 0 is not appear in this lookup table. That's why it's error. That's fine, which is good. Okay, but the rest of the column has returned the value, right? So this is good. So anytime you got error, especially this conditional formulas like lookup, F, or other formulas too, and don't panic. Then pay attention to, those absolute reference must be there. Then you just insert dollar sign. Okay. All right. So that was bonus. What's the next?
I have a question. What is the shortcut for the absolute? Because I've just been putting the dollar signs rather than, I thought it was like Alt and F5, but it's not working on the laptop I have.
The Windows F4. Windows F4 on your keyboard. Okay. Okay, this time VLOOKUP. So we're going to use this time health premium based on health plan. So how many kinds? 4 different kinds, then there's none. So 5 different, including none. Then depending on the plan, you get premium just like that. Okay, so let's do that for health premium based on the health plan, which is column K, right? So equals VLOOKUP, comma, go back to lookup table. Then I'm going to just highlight that range, lookup range. Then let's just make it absolute reference this time before completing. Then 2, which is column 2, and false at the end, which is the correct syntax for exact match. There you go. Health premium based on the health plan each employee chose. First few are 0 because it's none. Others depending on what they chose, right? So here's the formula view. Next, we have a word. A word is in if function. Okay. So we're going to a word. Okay, so we're going to use this table. Rather than VLOOKUP, we're going to use if. So I think it's intended actually created as a VLOOKUP, but somehow changed my mind that we need to create a if function. Okay, So years of service. Where is the years of service? L. Okay, so here we go. So let's do the if function, F. So this is going to be nested if, meaning that, multiple if within if, because we need to go through all this conditions within if, starting from 10 to 14, 6 to 9, 3 to 5, 1 to 2, all the way. Okay, so if I'm going to use L2 instead of let's click that. L2 greater than 10 to 40, so that's greater than 9, right? 9 years service, then you get X, what is it? X3, right? X3. So why don't we give it absolute reference? And next, if we're testing 6 to 9, that's greater than L2 greater than 5. That's X4. And next is 3 to 5. That's if L2 greater than 2. Then you get X5. And again, you give a dollar sign. One more time. That will be greater than 0. Is that right? 9. Then you get X6. And the last 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. So only thing left is X7, right? So just show X7 rather than giving another if, because it's the last one, right? Then you're closing 1, 2, 3, 4, because we open 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So you need to close 4 times at the end. There you go. So let's manually check. This one is 6 years. 6 years, 800, right? Next one is 2 years. 2 years must be 350, correct? Next one, 7 years, must be 800. So it looks like it's good. So that's the syntax for if function using, this conditions for years of service. Then you're going to get the amount based on the condition. But this can be VLOOKUP at the same time if, like I just showed you here. I think it can be a little bit advanced, but why not trying some difficult one? So you could have an easier one at the actual exam, then hopefully it helps you. Any questions? Questions so far?
Hey, I did put it in the chat, and you had given us the shortcut key for Windows, and I was wondering if you know what the shortcut is for a MacBook.
Mac keyboard. I can Google it. You can Google it too, right?
Yeah. Okay. That's
MacBook.
fine.
Yeah, I forgot. I don't use MacBook.
Click Control instead of Windows.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Thank you very much. Anything else? All right. Let's move on then. All right, next is about COUNTIF, average if, SUMIF. So this is another variation of if. Again, this has been using a lot in workplaces. You'll be surprised, how popular those kind of functions. Like we just did it if, and we look up same thing, this COUNTIF, average if, SUMIF. Also, pivot table that we're gonna do. So let's do that. This thing here, go to our summary, okay? Our summary worksheets. So what we're going to do is we're going to show number of items for each location. Actually, this is kind of typo, but that's fine. I think it is kind of intentional. First location, then we have Austin, home, and all that. So it's going to count the Atlanta location, Austin location, and all that. Same thing. We're going to calculate average salary for each location. Then column E will calculate total salary for each location. Okay, so how are we going to do that? We're going to use COUNTIF, average if, SUMIF. Okay, so let's do that for COUNTIF, starting with COUNTIF. So I'm going to go back to the worksheets that we're going to refer, which is the list. I think it's too big somehow. Let me go back. Minimize a little bit. I mean, zoom out a little bit. Too big. All right, so I'm going to select location column, which is column F. So I'm going to select entire column F. Okay. Then you need to show which location. For example, Austin, New Orleans, whatever. Specific location must be specified. You can use this. You can type it in like Austin with a double quotes like that. Or you can select the column, the cell including the word Austin, which is easier and you can make less mistake, right? So I'm going to go back to our summary, then I'm going to click Atlanta, which is the cell containing the location. So I don't make any typos or anything. And that's it. And it'll give you only one occasion for the Atlanta. Or what about the rest of the location? Rather than just repeating same formula, I'm going to just autofill all the way down. There you go. Because just exactly same formula, only difference is the cell reference at the end. So B4 becomes B5, B6, B7, B8, which is convenient, right? So that's the syntax of COUNTIF. So COUNTIF function, COUNTIF syntax is very simple because it requires only 2 arguments, right? Only 2. Whereas average if, SUMIF requires 3. So here's average if, go back to lists. I'm going to select location column first, comma, then you need to select which locations. I'm going to go back to the other one we just start with so that I can select the specific location, which is B4, right? Comma, then you need to select the column containing the salary, which is column J, which is annual salary. So I'm going to select at the top, so entire J selected, and that's it. So that's the syntax for average if. The location column, then the cell containing that particular location, then the last one, the column including the number that you're trying to calculate, which is annual salary. Then I can just autofill all the way. And you got all those numbers up here. Total salary. We're going to use the SUMIF. Same thing with average if. Let's go back to lists. Select location. And back to here. That's so that I can select this B4. Then I'm going to go back to list so that I can select annual salary, which is column J. And it should look like this. Then you're going to autofill the rest of the column. Okay, any question about COUNTIF, average if, SUMIF? All right, so let's move on. Then pivot table. So pivot table is not like creating formulas. So there's no correct syntax actually, or syntax that I'm going to show you. But it's more of trial and error. So that's why I show you the screenshot. That's quicker and easier than trying to give you sentences that try to explain what you need to do. But of course, there's some description that you need to do, but I think the screenshot should help. So you're going to have that. You're going to have this in the actual test as well. You're going to have the screenshots so that you need to create just like screenshot. Okay. So first pivot table is creating this table with number of employees and showing sum of annual salary based on the location. Okay, so let's go back. So look at that here, right side, that's what you need to pay attention. If it's too small, just, zoom in and see what you get. So you need to highlight employee ID, right? Location. And you have two values, right? One is number of employee, which is from employee ID. The other one is annual salary, which is at the bottom. So that doesn't show it because you cannot show the, at the bottom because you need to scroll down. So you need to select annual salary. Okay. So employee ID, location, annual salary, three things. Actually, that's explained here. Employee ID, annual salary. Right. So let's do it from here. So we're going to insert pivot table. Go to Insert tab, Pivot Table. Then you click OK. So it's going to create a new worksheet, which is default. So click OK. This is where you're going to create your pivot table. So that's the list of columns that you're going to select. So as you select, and each column will move into this location, either column or rows, values, sometimes filters too. You can move it around if you wish. For example, employee ID, if you select employee ID, it'll go to values kind of automatically. But if you don't like it, you can just move it around, right? So just leave it as now so that we can change it later on. The other one is location, right? Location. Then annual salary. So now here, is that what we want? It looks pretty close except sum of ID. So it's supposed to be number of ID, number of employees, right? So how are we going to change that to number of employees from sum of employee ID, which doesn't make sense, right? So I'm going to go to here, sum of employee ID, to change whatever this property. So I'm going to select, click value field setting. From here, I can change the label, which is number of employee. And also change the calculation, count. So it'll count number of employee. Click OK. There you go. So that's how you're going to create, quick pivot table. So just, like I said, select those columns, then look at where those positions are. And if you need to change, you change it, like move things around like that. So it doesn't, just look weird, then you can just move it around or move as you wish. And same thing, the calculation, you can always change it. Go to value field setting in all those calculations. Here too, sum of annual salary. If it's average, then you change to average. If it's sum, which is good, so leave it. Okay? So that's our first pivot table. And here it says sheet 1, then you may have to change the pivot table name, the direction, rename as pivot table 1. So let's rename it. Okay. Then second pivot table looks like this, right? Hire date, job status, hire date, job status, annual salary. 3 things. Then it's going to position just like that. Then you're going to have a pivot chart based on pivot table. Okay. Hire date, job status, annual salary. Insert, pivot table, OK. Hire date, job status, annual salary. What you see. And screenshot, look at the screenshot. Column A has month appeared, right? There's no year, no date, only month. However, in this one we just created, we have a year, month, even quarters, then month, and all those things. How are we going to fix this? How are we going to remove those unnecessary data? Then we're going to just remove this thing over year, quarters, even date. We can remove it. Then month, only month will be here, I believe. Then job status, let's take a look. Job status in here, right? Just job status will be on column, I believe. So we're going to move job status to the column, just like that. The other way look like this, right? But we want to show just like this way. So we have month and job status then we have all those salary is organized. That is good. Okay, I think it's good. Then pivot chart. So all you do is just look for the pivot chart right here, the toolbar. Then based on whatever the type, in this case columns, so just click OK. So that's the second pivot table. And actually, if you look at the exercise, case problems, inserting, let me go back to slicers, right? That's also, which is another type of user interface or items that you can add. For example, where's slicers? Insert, look for slicer right here, right? So it's more like a filters. So slicers, so to give you a list of items that you can add to slicers. For example, location, job status, pay grade. These are the slicers that you can play with, right? So what it does is when you select particular location, for example, click Austin, it will show all those data related to Austin only, or Nashville, whatever the location, right? Same thing, job status, or pay grade. Pay grade. Because if you're playing with 3 slicers, sometimes it's kind of overlap, so it doesn't show it. So you have to clear the filter, one or more filters to other filter works, right? So that's a slicer that you can play with. I think that's it for this this sample questions. Okay. So don't forget the review stuff. Even though I didn't go over other stuff like those text-related function should be covered, and then multiple worksheets. Okay, this is the file, which is fleet. Why don't we open it and see what happens here? Fleet. Okay. So idea is we're trying to consolidate all this into summary worksheets. I think I covered last time, but hey, why not? So idea is we have January to December 12-month worksheets. Okay, so we can group them so that we can do it quicker. For example, I'm going to group January to December just like that. See that all those are highlighted? That's on Windows. Just Shift, hold it. So I'm going to select January. Shift on your keyboard, hold it. I'm going to click December. So those 12 worksheets highlighted. Then I'm going to enter whatever the calculation at once. Then it apply rest of the worksheets. Okay, for example. Difference between these two, right? And percent change, meaning that the difference out of the forecast right? And we're going to make it percent format, 2 decimal places. Here we go. Then at the bottom should be sum, I believe. Sum of all that numbers. And then here, because we're doing percentage, you still have to calculate percentage rather than doing sum. Right? So we just did it once, but see that all those different months are all calculated. So you don't have to go back and forth. So that's the idea of this multiple worksheets, working with multiple worksheets with what they call 3D reference, right? So then now you want to ungroup. So just click outside or just right click ungroup sheets. Then now we're going to consolidate all. So all 12 months we'll have a summary and put it into this B5 through E, whatever E11. Okay. Again, you're going to have to do grouping worksheets. Okay. So here we go. Basically, we're going to add them all, right? So we're going to use the sum of. Then I'm going to select January. Again, keyboard shift, hold it, and click December. So all those months are selected. Then I'm going to click B5 because that's what we're going to add. Press enter. So this is the formula. Right. So the reason I'm using keyboard, go back and forth, because I can't memorize all this syntax, right? January, colon, December, exclamation, and whatever, the cell reference. Okay, so rather than just type it in, and then we can go back and forth. So that was the idea. But good thing about this is we can autofill, right? We can autofill all the way. So that's another good thing about using 3D reference. However, percentages you need to calculate, right? You should not add percentages because percentages here must be calculated. So just do that once again, take that divided by forecast. So we get all these percentages and format and 2 decimal places. And there you go. Then you may have to do, dollar accounting format or whatever. And there's the formula view. So that was the main thing about the module 5. Any questions, comments?
I have a question
Mm-hmm.
about the assignment that I've been messaging you about. I'm not sure. What am I doing wrong?
Which one?
Let's see. 7.3. The assessment 7.3.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong.
Let's take a look. Think employ no.
Yeah, that's the one.
STEM. Okay, so one thing appeared in module 7 is XLOOKUP, right? But XLOOKUP can only work with Office 365. Or, those people who don't want to get into XLOOKUP, that's fine. I understand. But there's an advantage of the XLOOKUP, because VLOOKUP only look up to your right side, meaning you have multiple columns, then you can only look for right side, you cannot look for left side. So meaning you have to arrange just like that anytime you want to use the VLOOKUP. And of course there are other, other advantages of XLOOKUP. But anyway, this particular one, suppose you use XLOOKUP, and that's what the data file is started with. So I think the original data file have all this table, is it table or range names? The all range names are created initially. So if you have to use, for example, lookup table here, these are the lookup tables given, but XLOOKUP is going to have a lookup range name individually, like this, individual column. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them at least. A VLOOKUP, you don't have to have that many. So we're going to have this area as a 1, 2, 3. Okay? So to use a VLOOKUP, you need to change the name ranges. Okay, let's say this is the one already there, then you're confused because you're going to use VLOOKUP, then I'm going to just delete them. Here we go. Again, that's on the formula view, formulas tab. Formulas tab. Go to name manager. Okay, just delete it. Select them, delete. Okay. Maybe one name is still there, that's fine. Just leave it. But most of them are gone, right? Here you go, name box. They're gone. Only one left. So we can now name this lookup table. So this is the 1, 2, 3 of them. So that we can apply to whatever the column here, okay? So idea is starting from column I, workshop, take question 1, which is Q1. Speaker, take question 2. Next, question 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to, again, going back to here, range names. I'm going to highlight this area. We're going to create names for the VLOOKUP. So I'm going to highlight them. Then I'm going to go back to name box, type it in survey lookup, one word. Okay. There's a rule that you want to follow. If you don't care, that's fine, as long as it's in one word. If you make it simple like survey, nobody cares. Okay. But we're going to follow whatever the book suggested. So survey lookup, okay? Survey lookup is good with the uppercase, first letter. There's no space between, okay? And press enter. So this area becomes survey lookup. Now this area, we're going to make it school lookup. So I'm going to highlight this area just like that. I'm going to go to name box, name it school lookup, and press enter. So I'm going to go to name box, see that? I just created those two, right? School lookup, survey lookup. Now third, highlight this area. This time we're going to name it conference lookup. So I'm going to go to name box, conference lookup. Press enter. Okay, so I just created 3 and the 1 was still there, so that's fine. So 3 names are created that we're going to use in VLOOKUP, right? So I'm going to go back to our main worksheets. Then we're going to create a VLOOKUP for first one using Q1, question 1. So question 1, answered A. So what A represents? So A will show as whatever from the VLOOKUP name range we created, right? So I'm going to select Q1, which is B6, right? Comma. Then the name range, we just name it. What was that? Survey, right? So as soon as I try to type survey lookup, it showed a list of names available. See that? So survey lookup is the one we need to apply. So I'm going to double click. You can always type it in. That's fine. You don't care about whatever appeared, then you just type it in. But still showing, suggestions, so I can just double click it. Comma, after comma, then index number, meaning column 2. So I'm going to type number 2, then the last one is going to be false because that's the syntax we need to follow, right? There you go. Just ignore this one. So that's what's my, oops. All right. So that's the syntax of VLOOKUP. Again, Q1 is a B6, and survey lookup is this area we just created, right? This area, same area as this. And number 2 is column number. False is the syntax we have to enter at the end. What about this one? Let's try the second one. Another VLOOKUP. We are still using same lookup range, which is survey lookup. But we're going to look at question 2, answer B, right? Comma. Same thing, trying to type it in lookup range, which is survey. But again, suggestions appeared, so I'm going to double click it. Comma. Column number 2 and false. There you go. So that's actually safer than using, what was that? Using A5, B8, right? A5, B8. Yeah, every time you have to type in A5, B8. Rather than doing it, we are using survey lookup. You can even make it shorter if you want it, like a survey. That's fine. Or even sir or S may work. I don't know about the minimum number of, character, but so that's the idea of using name ranges in this VLOOKUP. All right, any questions?